Okay. Oh, this is super loud. Just trying things. Just trying things. Okay. How do I do this? What am I doing here? Okay. I guess I'm just treating this like a normal sharing, ignoring the fact that this is a stream. Just kind of unusual. So what's active? Yeah, first of all, technical stuff. So this feels like, oh man, I cannot just stop and go back and re-record something. This is actually live. Whatever happens is just there forever. Okay, fine. That's fine. Just like a face-to-face conversation, right? I don't need to take back my words and try and edit them or something. This is just a luxury that we can have with the video format, but we're doing just fine with that in regular good old analog life. So what's the no reason to feel weird about that? It's just a conversation, I suppose. So I'm just trying to find helpful, useful things to beliefs and thoughts to have while doing this, whatever I'm doing now. It's just a conversation. So let's see, what did I want to share about? Okay, so one thing is that something has been kind of building. I just need to ignore this thing that says live and everything. Do I ignore that? Yeah, I can take a look later and see if anyone commented or something. It's not that important right now. Yeah, first step is to stay focused on this here. So this is kind of interesting and exciting, and I feel like there's a bit of energy that's been building for a bit. We're in. So this is about the business side of things. I feel like maybe. I don't know. Yeah, part of the impulse for this was to start sharing about the business side of things also. So I've been sharing a lot about just personal life, just regular or old feel like I need to breathe a little. so I don't feel so much like I'm rushing into or out of something. Also, the headphones are a little distracting, but I guess, yeah, I'll get used to that. This do here, just remove this, maybe move this out of the way. Oops. Okay. Oh, I felt excited to share and very nervous. I'm still feeling a lot of nervousness, but also just a lot of just bubbly, kind of excited energy. And that's kind of directed at, so I want to do things, I want to create things, I want to create things of value. And I feel like maybe I just want to stop calling this stuff business, or like giving it any such kind of standard name or something, or category or moniker. Because I felt like when I was making the distinction, I've been sharing about, I don't know, like personal things, and then I wanted to say, and now I want to share also about business things. It's like, I mean, all of this is about me as a person. What are the things that I would have wanted to put into this business category? Because business just sounds wrong. It just feels wrong, to be honest. And this is brilliant. Like, this is the almost immediately something happens, something shifts. I don't know what it is about this sharing thing, but as soon as I start, like, I'm not even talking to anyone. Am I talking? I'm probably not even talking to anyone, and it doesn't matter. I don't even know if I'm actually right now talking to someone, but for some reason, and I'll be curious to figure out or find out or get clues about what it is, but for some reason, some other reflection process kicks in, or it's really just the speaking. I really wonder what's going on. Like, how, so what I wanted to say is that almost immediately I realize something occurs to me. Why is that? And I mean, I'm putting myself in a different state, right? And this is the nice thing for me, I think, about sharing, about recording something. And also, because I've also done a bunch of audio only recordings, and I feel like it's not quite the same. And it's still one basic element kind of this is that I'm putting myself in a position where in some way I cannot just shrink away from something, from a challenge, or from something that I feel, or something I want to do but then don't do, stuff like that. So when it's just me by myself in my room, no one's there, I can either, like, step up and be present, or show up to something, to a challenge, to whatever it is I'm thinking about, or it's equally easy, or it's actually easier in many cases to just, shrink away, to just not think about it, to not engage with that, right? To not show up. And this is one of the things that this format seems to help me with a lot, wherein I'm not, the nice thing is that I'm not forced to show up anywhere. I'm not like forced to go to work, for example, because I can choose it, and I can choose it right here and now. I don't have to go anywhere specifically for that. There is no like traveling or commute involved. There are no timetables and schedules and coordination involved, but I can just decide that I'm going to show up now, and I can show up right here and right now. But I can show up. That's a super interesting thing. And so, yeah, that's what I felt the last few days and earlier today really strongly, that I kind of I want to show up, and I need something that helps me show up. At least that was part of it. Yeah, and this format seems to help me. And one more thing I wanted to say is that it seems that video like puts another layer on top, or I don't know if it like increases the stakes. Is that even proper English? Or raises the stakes, right? It's like it makes it more immediate, more tangible. I can also see as I speak, I can look at my face and I see all kinds of things in it. I see when I'm, for example, shrinking away from something, or when I'm not being, this is what I want to do, or when I'm, excuse me, camera, can you move? When I'm maybe not being fully present, or when I'm just trying to figure out how to, OCD is kicking in, I need to center my picture. Give me a moment. That was the wrong direction. Like this. Further, right? Excuse me. Why are you not moving? Okay. Not quite. Bear with me, please. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, I feel like I can read a lot from my own like facial expressions. And I do notice that I kind of have this habit of looking at myself quite a bit when I'm on a video call, for example. Can be with customers, but I think especially with customers and clients, more so than as opposed to with just friends and family. I take information from that, from how I express facially, how I present, like body language. I take cues from that, and I kind of use that to reflect on how I feel. Am I confident? Am I actually open? Am I sharing what I really want to share? All these kinds of things. I'm taking cues from that, or taking in feedback in real time. So that's actually really useful for me. I can't just slump here and look really timidly or something, but yeah, I guess I have some kind of mental image of myself that not in the sense of, I don't know, like maybe you could say being cool or like presenting a certain image, not that, but in terms of how that feels and how I want to feel, and then how, when I'm doing that, how that is reflected back to me just in the image I see from myself, like what I look like in the mirror, basically, right? Yeah, so this is also very helpful. And so what I want to do is create. I want to create lots of things. And I get stuck so frequently at various points of this process of trying to create something, or of engaging with creating something. And here's where lots of thoughts coming in at once, trying to sort them a little first before I start babbling about all of them at once. So I'm hoping that in sharing this journey, let's say this creative journey, that's going to make it easier for me or more transparent or give me a chance of seeing or reflecting on what I'm doing as I'm doing it, such that maybe I won't get stuck so much anymore. And then it's going to give me opportunities to just share sorry, just ate too much before doing this. Yeah. And I also, like, this is something that I would personally find really interesting. Someone sharing the complete journey from start to finish towards, let's say, some kind of product or service that is being created, or some kind of organization being created, for example, projects and all that stuff. I would love, and maybe not so much as in terms of like some kind of how-to guide. I'm less interested in that. But what I'm really interested in is for people to be able to feel how it feels, for example, and to see the ups and downs that someone is going through as they are engaging with creating something. Seeing the highs and the lows, the doubts and the successes, or the doubts and the overcoming of them. And because I feel like a lot of we could say business activity or professional activity, or anything that has to do with creating, we often, or most of the time, just get presented with the end product, and you can get some behind the scenes looks if you then read some kind of article about that, or people are giving interviews or talking about that a bit if they're really successful and stuff like that. But I still feel like, for one, that's way after the fact, normally. And it's also, I don't know, it's again more of some kind of a polished product. The interview itself, right? The look behind the scenes. It's again polished in some fashion because it's done after the fact, or it's again done in a format that is usually not real time and just as it is, or raw in some sense. Or I don't know if this is making much sense to you guys, but there is an idea of something there, and I feel like doing it upfront when, for example, you don't know yet, is it going to work out or not, or like I don't really believe in things not working out, I have to say. And this is also something that I'm hoping is going to give me an opportunity to talk about things like these, about, for example, some very, very common beliefs that entrepreneurs and creative people and the makers and doers often hold and are often taught by society, and we tell ourselves and the people around us, blah blah blah, but that are simply not very, neither true nor very beneficial or necessary and stuff like that. And so, for example, one of them is the idea that we don't know if it's going to work out, and sometimes that may be the case. But for example, for myself, that's not really the case anymore. I've basically practiced really listening to my intuition, really developing, let's say, senses that give us very, very clear, and senses that all humans have access to, that give us very, very clear indications whether something is a good idea or not. Like intuition, like gut instinct, we have all kinds of names for them, or like feeling with the heart, or with different, like many things that are not the mind itself, right? Though even the mind has like certain, let's say, modes of operation that also give you a sense of, yeah, this is actually a good thing. But all of them have more to do with feeling, let's say, than so much standard thinking. And the more you train those senses and those, abilities to perceive, the better you can actually judge ahead of time, way ahead of time, from the very beginning, like what's going to be the outcome of following a certain idea or executing certain actions, because you can basically tell by the way it feels, if you are really clear and in alignment with, and like not so this is, I'm trying to not dive into a full explanation of that, because I don't think I want to do that now. But basically there are ways you can practice that, and I do a lot of that. And so what I want to say is that as you start to being able to tell very early on if something is going to give an overall positive result, if it's going to yield something that's desirable for you or not, it's not really so much of a question about whether something is going to work out or not, but you're following things that feel quite good, and that, feel in certain ways that where you're like, I want to have more of this particular quality and this feeling in my life. And then you follow that, and one way or another, like you might still go like this, and sometimes roller coastery, in the sense that there are things that you need to take a look at as part of getting to that particular destination that feels a certain way, if that makes sense. But still, in the end, you're going to arrive, or the whole journey is going to take you closer and closer and closer there. And it's also like a bit of a never-ending journey, because really for our existence and our journey, our paths are really such that there is no final destination. There is just the journey itself. The journey is the destination, and it just gets better and better and better over time. And but I'm not seeing already going into a little more depth in that, but let's leave that for another time. But things generally do work out, and I do truly believe and see that by now. So where was I before diving into that? It's going to be interesting to try and not get sidetracked by myself so much, to stick to the essence more, and because there's a lot of things I can dive into, but don't necessarily want to do all the time. So there's a lot of things that entrepreneurs and creative people, business people, doers, makers believe that are not necessarily true and not necessarily helpful on this journey. And I hope to get plenty of opportunity to talk about those things and to help everyone to reflect, observe themselves, and then get an opportunity or create an opportunity for themselves to perhaps change some of those, to adopt new thoughts and beliefs and feel in new ways. And then so that's going to be an interesting thing, an interesting aspect of sharing this journey. I said not getting stuck maybe, and having automatic opportunities to reflect and and share in real time. Then there's also the just sharing, teaching, learning together component of this that's very appealing to me. Yeah, exactly, the transparency and openness and really sharing something that's in the process from the beginning, where maybe at least to some minds, that's what I wanted to say, it may seem unclear what exactly is going to come from it, or maybe it could fail, quote unquote, to some minds. And then witnessing the whole journey, right? Yeah, sharing in real time about it, and yeah, the ups and downs, and like really seeing, because if you're not used to doing things based on intuition, gut feeling, how things feel, but rather more mentally focused, then you may not be used to, like, it's, or put it differently, it may be a very beneficial experience to observe someone going a more or a less linear path to getting somewhere, but then witnessing how that's actually a really good path to get there, and how someone's and everyone's intuition has these kinds of ways how it leads us precisely to where we need to go, not necessarily in the way that the mind would, like in its more linear fashion, try and accomplish this thing, but rather we get there in the end fairly straightforward and beneficial route, and then afterwards we can like make the connections in the mind and understand, oh, this is why I was supposed to do this, and why this came up, and then right, why I was directed in the specific way that I was directed. I'm not sure how many people are living their lives in this way, and I think it's still the minority, maybe, but I do that in almost all aspects of my life, perhaps in all aspects, and this would be interesting and exciting to show you guys, because I think it's a very beneficial way to look at the world and to navigate the world, and to be on our own paths, and so to be able to share that, how well that works, and just how well it works for me, that would be fun, and an honor as well, like to share that with others, to show, perhaps even to like show off a little in terms of, because it's fun, it's really good, and it's been a bunch of work I had to do in order to be able to really do that, and so getting to share that with a few more people, and just the most the people that are closest to me, that basically have no choice but but to like deal with my antics, that'd be fun. Yeah. And getting to go through the process together of from ideas, or even before ideas exist, all the way to finished or ready for public consumption products and services, and whatever might come from this. I'm even a little hesitant to just call them products and services, because that sounds way too businessy than I currently feel like I should make it sound. That would be super interesting to just take that journey together. And I'm very fond of the open source movement in software and programming, where usually the most important bits and bytes of all kinds of software is open source, is available for everyone to see, and where very frequently the whole development cycle takes place on public platforms where everyone can observe and learn from that and also participate. That's really cool. That has enabled so much good stuff. And I'd love to do the same thing basically, or something in that spirit, in terms of the like how do I put that, like the bigger process. Like, let's say you're developing some kind of product. Let's say it's something digital, something to do with software, which is probably the kinds of things I'll end up doing here. Though it might also be just organizations, but I feel like tech is going to be a big play a significant role in this. And then let's say you're developing some kind of application or website, some kind of mobile app, and that's like this part of the process. But then outside of that, or like the bigger picture, is that there is more thinking behind that, right? There's the ideas of, well, what to build, what to make, and then how does this fit into some kind of economic context, into some kind of, so coordinating different parties and people, and creating organizations, or putting something into existing organizations, or expanding and evolving existing organizations, stuff like that. So being able to take the whole, I don't want to call it business process, but yeah, I'll have to come up with new words, or maybe, yeah, we'll come up with them together. But this whole process that builds, businesses, and businesses to me are like sources of economic activity, or like of creative activity, of people. In the end, there's no business, there's only people, individuals acting in harmony with each other, right? And this greater process of individuals creating things of value, either individually or coordinating in some fashion, and at some point there's always going to be some coordination, showing all of that in an open and transparent way, that would be amazing. Like seeing businesses or organizations or products, or things that serve people, things that create value, things that ultimately we really want to have in our lives, things that improve many people's lives, to see their creation in an open format. That would be amazing. And to be able to be part of that in some fashion, to learn from that, to engage with that, just be able to be a witness to that, would be amazing. Imagine if you could if you had a whole history of video streams, for example, of how the first iPhone was created. Imagine if we had that, or how Tesla created their initial cars, or any of the new ones that they're working on, stuff like that. What if you could see, all of the ideas that came up, and how people were working with the ideas and going through different stages, and then at some point, like maybe after years, maybe for smaller products after weeks or months, transforming those ideas into something that in the end people can use and are using, that then transforms also like people's lives, but also the collective's experience at large. How interesting would it be to see that? What if we could take much more of a look into, for example, Steve Jobs. He's a legendary figure in business and electronics, and all kinds of ways, and creativity, and like, what would it be like to be able to at least have some snapshots, or just much more material to look into? What was he thinking? What kind of communication was going on? What were meetings like? How did all of this go from the ideas and who was driving what and what way? Like, this was super interesting to me. And I mean, like, it would certainly not be interesting to everyone to see all of this in full detail. But if we had that material, like, we could, create all kinds of things from that at different levels of detail or resolution for different people of different interests. But we could learn so much from that, and yeah, it just would be amazing and super interesting to have records of that kind, and to have a more collaborative process maybe also. And yeah. And companies are often very, very secretive, right? Like Apple, for example. Apparently, that's what can be heard from the outside, and there's very little sharing coming from the inside. And does it have to be that way? For example, that's an active question in my mind. Like, would all or most of the good ideas, or enough good ideas, be destroyed or be significantly negatively altered by too early contact with the general public, so to speak, right? Because I mean, there's probably reasons why Apple is keeping things usually very close to their chest, sharing things basically only as they're fully ready for mass production and mass deployment, so to speak, across society. Is that the only way to do things? Is that the best way to do things? Perhaps that's not the case at all, and I suspect that it is probably not at all the best way to do it. But most companies are doing it that way at the moment, and companies, organizations in general. But what might be an alternative? Could there be a much more open process where people can participate and learn, and even just observe, to learn, to really get a sense of what does it mean to, perform role X, or to go from this stage to that stage. And I think we're missing so much additional value that can be derived, so many things that can be learned from being able to observe these processes. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. But that something like that might be the ultimate vision, or one significant portion of the ultimate vision of why I am drawn to and interested in doing this here. Something like that. That'd be brilliant. I feel like I could go on, but I also feel like this is a nice initial bit of context about this, about like what this means to me, some of the ideas behind that. Not everything yet, but I feel like I'll keep doing this tomorrow. This is going to be fun. I have so many ideas that I want to work on, so much stuff, so many things to share, so many things to think about, so many things to really get into the meat of, so many things to share with others, to invite others to participate in whatever ways, so many resources that need to be invited and found and orchestrated and coordinated to really create something quite valuable. So and I don't feel like doing anything, any of these things, Like, I don't feel like building any kind of conventional organization. I don't really feel like founding a company and getting venture capital and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, like, my mind is saying, okay, yeah, so this is how you normally go about those things. And I guess lots of people do that, but fortunately or unfortunately, I am me, and that's not how this person, this soul here, this um, human personality construct really wants to do things. So we're not doing that. We're trying something else. We're just being ourselves here. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Really looking forward to this journey. Perfect. Thank you guys for listening. Apparently there are 2 viewers. There were no comments or questions or anything. So yeah, thank you guys. And I'm looking forward to more of this. Probably tomorrow. I'll just jump in with both feet, and then we'll see what this is going to be. If this is going to be anything at all. So thank you guys. Love you all. Have a great day.